there. All right. So I'm going to spend some time this morning on some stuff that I continue to hear and see coming up with folks that are in our community in some form or another. They might be using lead deck. Hold on. Jeez Louise. I'm going to hold on. Just bear with me for a second. I need to switch Wi-Fi. Test 1 2 1 2. Let me just make sure here. Hold on. Let me just make sure something here. Okay, that's good. That's good. Am I back? Everybody back? I can see Stuart, so I think I'm back. Okay, here we go. What you focus on grows and expands. What you think about expands, and what you dwell upon determines your destiny. I'm going to pair that with this. Volume negates luck. Volume negates luck. So what am I talking about here? I am seeing a pattern with people that we are coaching, having conversations with, etc., who are putting too much of their focus, at least from my perspective, on the wrong thing. Things that, if this principle is true, and it is only going to get them more of what they don't want anyway. So focusing on and finding the good in what you're doing, let's face it, in every part of your life. For example, writing down things that you're grateful for and appreciate, and opportunities that that you are grateful for and you want more of, will get you more of that. That sounds, airy-fairy. Why do these two pair together? Because most often what I find is people that are focused on the results they didn't get, it's because they haven't done enough volume to find the results that they actually want, to know how to focus on the ones that they actually want and recreate more of those. Again, this sounds a little bit nebulous, so I'm going to make it very, very specific. And I'm going to share a couple of stories from the last few days to make this tangible and specific. When you do a lot of volume, two things happen. Number one, you create your own luck, meaning you can do something poorly, and if you do enough of it, you will still get a result eventually. The other thing that happens when you do a lot of volume of any activity, for example, if you're using lead deck, when you do volume of outreach, that volume alone almost is a forcing factor for you to get better. Because when you do something a lot and it's not working as well as you would like, generally speaking, it forces you to go and wonder or look at, what am I not doing here? What am I missing? What is it about what I'm doing that isn't getting me the same results as Stephanie, Susan, Stuart, Campbell, etc.? Usually it comes down to one of three things. Market, meaning your audience, specifically lead deck terms, your seller or buyer targets. So is it a problem with the market, the people that you're doing outreach with? Is it a problem with my message? Or is it a problem with my method? Now for the specific examples. And I'm not going to say anyone's names with this because I didn't get their permission. And also just know that these are real examples that have happened in the last few days. Number one, I had a Zoom with one of our Founders Club members on Friday. He has a VA that's part of his team that is doing some of the work using the tool to create opportunities, to generate conversations that can then turn into contracts and eventually closings. And very quickly, we identified what the problems were. He said, he started in with what he's struggling with or what the problem is. And we had to back up and say, and determine, is this even a problem? Meaning, what is the data set that we're talking about? Have you sent 5 emails and text messages? Have you sent 10? Have you sent 20? What is the number here? Because we might not even have a problem. We might just have not done enough volume to even determine whether or not this will work. So number one, the volume was very low to begin with. Number two, we also uncovered that the message he was using is not per the prescribed blueprint. It's a message he made up. It's a message that literally is anywhere that I've ever shared. And the method is, because he's a VA, he's using Follow Up Boss instead of using his phone. Now, that may not be a problem if we fix the other two things first, which is what we went on to do. Here's the prescription moving forward. And then let's revisit later this week with more data, actually following the blueprint, and see if we actually have a problem that we need to solve further, or if we're now just into where we just need more volume to create our own luck. That was one example.
Josh, can I ask a clarifying question there?
Sure.
You're referring to following the blueprint of the text scripts and the email scripts that you provided us with and modifying them slightly for our market and for that, but using that is what you're saying.
Correct.
Okay. Just want to verify that's what you're referring to.
Most people,
I want to make sure I'm not guilty of the mistake myself.
Yeah. Most people, either consciously or subconsciously, aren't actually following the blueprint. And then they think there's a problem when the problem is they didn't actually do the thing in the first place. And how do I know this to be true? Because I do it too. I'll buy something and I'll think, well, I'm smarter than so-and-so, clearly. So I'm going to try my little variation of it. And like literally this happened to me, I don't know, early in 2025. And, I signed up for this thing. We implemented. And at the 30-day review, the guy was like, yeah, clearly you broke script right here. You broke, you're not following. This is the problem. And lo and behold, that was the problem. I'm not going to get specifically to that, what that exact scenario was, but it was a me problem, not a them problem. I thought I was smarter than the system. I interviewed Susan on Friday. Susan was a good sport, and she shared some successes that she has had recently. She also mentioned that it took a little while. In other words, she had been doing work and not been seeing a lot of results for a number of weeks. And that could have been weather, it could have been holidays, it could have been any number of things. I took that, and you can go and see it. You can see it if you go to leaddeck.ai/success, you can watch it. You can find it on my YouTube channel, etc. And I think there's some great lessons in there. I mean, great ones, but both very specific and tactical and also big picture. I took that and I posted it into the free school community that I have, which admittedly I've not been doing a good job of posting and engaging in there. But I can only do so many things and whatever. Anyway, I posted it in there, and there was a negative comment from someone else about all this work they had done and not gotten any results. And so I deleted that comment because that comment is in no way, shape, or form helpful. And because I know with certainty that person is not actually following the blueprint. I guarantee, so I deleted the comment and I sent her, dang it, I sent them a personal message offering to help fix it. Because I guarantee there is a problem with either the market, the message, or the method. Guaranteed. There is zero doubt in my mind. I also deleted it because it's not helpful for anyone. It's not helpful for anyone. It's not providing help or value. Now, I know that from their perspective, what they posted is their truth, but it's not the truth. It's their truth. Period. So, and I also deleted it and am frustrated because this person has personal access to me and has not once asked for help. And I try to make it as blatantly obvious to anyone and everyone. I will help you all. If you're actually doing work and it's not working, I'll help you fix it. My point is,
Josh, I will verify that. There's never been a time I've sent you a text and asked for your time that you've not given it to me.
I appreciate that.
Not once, ever.
I appreciate that. And I'm not trying to, this is not an attack. I gotta get a dang tissue. Hold on. This is not an attack against everyone. It's me sharing this message because I genuinely want you all to win. Genuinely. I want you all to win. But until you figure out this for yourself, and I may be talking to just one person on here, but until you figure out these two things for yourself, there's no amount of training, coaching, or tactics that can overcome these things until you decide that you're going to focus on what you want and the good that you are able to produce, and that volume negates luck, and that you're going to implement a blueprint that is proven to work. Whether or not it's, anything I'm sharing. I'm sharing this for anything and everything. All right. Enough of that for now. Plan for the day that I have at this point, and we may deviate a little bit, but we'll see. My deal of the week results. So last week, I mixed up my deal of the week format a little bit, and the results have been pretty cool so far. Way more responses than I have gotten in a very long time. So I will share what that looked like again. I will share some of the responses and how I followed up with all of them. And oh, by the way, I need to follow up with all of them again today so I can close loops to see if there's any, if there's anyone that, we need to go check out or take the next best steps on. I'm going to take a minute to review my one page plan for success, my like simple one-page plan, because there's some things in there that just that relate to this. Volume negates luck. Just doing the right things enough times will open up opportunities for you. Time permitting, I'm going to use Lead Deck to reach out to some absentee owners because we're kind of Sean and I have decided that February is absentee owner month. So I'm going to be committing a lot of time and energy in my own business to be getting in more conversations with absentee owners. We also are doing a free workshop for anyone who's not in the Founders Club Thursday at noon Eastern, all around taking listings from that source of business. And I didn't update the rest of this because this was from Friday or Thursday. I just copy these little 3 slide decks and I forgot to remove that. Well, actually, since I have it on there, I had that on Thursday to do the work of generating results in advance. This was for an appointment I was supposed to have Friday with a distressed seller. A distressed seller in that it's children selling the property of their dad who passed away. Okay. So I started to do the work on behalf because I wanted to provide results in advance and I wanted to uncover more opportunities for myself before I even get in person with them. They had car troubles Friday, so we didn't actually meet. However, I have already started to reach out to buyers in that market, including one that this is a client that I picked up using Lead Deck, cash buyer target in that market. We closed on a bank-owned property earlier in January, and I called him Friday morning with the very specific intent of not, I was very clear with him that I know you just bought this one. I'm not calling to see if you're interested. I know that from our conversation, specifically at settlement, that he knows a lot of other guys like him. So I was calling him to plant the seed. Also, transparently, the place is 45, 50 minutes from my house, and I know he's in that area all the time. So I said, hey, if you're in the area, today or tomorrow, I'll give you the address. You can pop by, check out the outside, kind of let me know what you see, what you think. And oh, by the way, share this with anyone else that might be interested. And from that, I planted more seeds that will turn into something. Now, I've since sent the sellers information by email and by text, a Loom video with some thoughts on value, pricing, etc. And the only thing I could tell them with certainty, or some level of certainty, is what the comps are telling me it would sell for, full retail, full renovated, knowing full well it is nowhere near that. Like, they've said that and embrace that. But until I see how much work it needs and how bad it is, I can't make that assumption. So I need to loop or circle back on that. Why am I sharing that story? Because I am trying to remind myself to do a better job of leveraging any and every possible result into more possible results. If I'm going on appointment with a listing, what can I do ahead of that appointment to create even more opportunities? If I am, if I'm putting together, like, for example, part of my work today that I have to do, I have, I don't know, at least 3, 4, maybe even 5 motivated sellers that had requested a cash offer that I need to send a Loom video to. And oh, by the way, I should go and look at, what are the cash buyer targets? What are the active landlord buyer targets, et cetera, because I could have more of those conversations in advance of sending that information. And just finding every way possible to turn something into something else. Coming soon, just listed, whatever. I need to do a better job with that. It's the principle of going deeper, not wider, just in a different example. It's just a different application of going deeper versus wider. Campbell.
Okay, dovetailing in with exactly where you're at right now. I was going back through the course, the modules, and tracking down some of the investors that I've worked with in the past. And I called one because I had a couple of deals, beta in hand, to approach them about. Well, the conversation morphed that she is looking at going to work for an investment group and managing their money for buying and selling and flipping homes. I've already got a great relationship with her. I've already helped her buy multiple. I've already helped her sell multiple. Now, this is in a market that is 3 counties on me. Stuart will know what I'm talking about. I'm in Cobb County. They're in Gwinnett, so they're 2 counties over. She lives 5 minutes from me, but her church is on that side of town, and that's where a lot of the people with the money are at. I think it's probably worth my time to tap into that market because of the volume that it will create. I don't think I'm going to have to be there physically much. I think I'm going to be the guy that's going to uncover it. Then she'll go look at it and make sure that it works. What strategy would you use in that situation? Because, Josh, I believe I've got a lot of opportunity there that could be multiple deals going at the same time.
So first, I want to point out what Campbell, I think, is referring to is in module 0 of our 3-day deal sprint. One of the initial activities that I recommend and have a tutorial on is to create a Google spreadsheet or something of that nature and just do a 50-minute time block. I think Dean Jackson calls it a 50-minute focus finder. So you set a timer for 50 minutes, you open up the spreadsheet, and you don't have to be adding names and phone numbers and emails to the spreadsheet, but you can't be doing anything else. In other words, you just sit with your thoughts And you can be looking in your phone, you can be looking at Facebook, you can be looking in your CRM, but you're trying to find names and contact information for people like Campbell described that he already it is already in his sphere or his world in some form or fashion, but he just either hasn't thought of in a while or just hasn't, whatever, made that connection. So from that work, he uncovered this potential for volume, let's say. And so now what? So can you clarify specifically what your question is? Meaning how would I approach uncovering opportunities that fit?
That is correct.
Okay.
What would you select in the deal deck for going after that as your first round of strategy? And I'm going to take notes on exactly what you're saying here, because I'm going to follow it exactly. I'm not going to make it up on my own. That's why I'm asking the question. I have my thoughts, but you've done more of this than I have.
So can you clarify for me, and maybe I just got distracted in my own thoughts and trying to organize my response. Her buy box is what?
They really want to do fix and flips. She already has her own crew that does work for her on the property. So they're looking for homes that are distressed, that they are going to get equity increase by the work that's done to them, then turn around and flip them. And I will be the agent that will end up listing them. So I'm going to get double side on the deal. So it's well worth my time to go to a county that I don't really want to service because of the volume that it'll bring me back in return.
I would think of this in 3 layers. Number one, I would start with on market for 2 reasons. Number one, because in particular, it's not a county that you admittedly have a lot of experience and done work in. Looking at that will help you be more. It'll turn on your reticular activating system specific to those markets to see what you might uncover. In other words, you'll become a little bit more of a market expert there, and you'll have a better idea of what to look for and what the indicators are. And who knows, you might uncover 1 or 2 or 3 that would be worth exploring in more detail. You might see one that clearly needs work, that is vacant, and that has been listed for 60, 90, I don't know, maybe even more, 120.
Would be your Redfin strategy that you go in and you look for the distressed homes that are listed there. You go through the on-market data, the houses that have been longer on the market, and use those terms that you gave us for putting in the public and private remarks. We'll cover them there.
Yep, that would be layer 1. Layer 2, and this is one that we haven't done a lot of.
Hang on, let me take notes. So this is use Redfin.
What's that?
And MLS.
Yep.
With terms, okay.
That's where I would start. The second one, and I'm not actually. Let me do this. I'll give the second one, and then I'll save what I was going to just say to the third one. The second one is specifically in lead deck. Actually, hold on. Let me rewind a little bit. The other reason why I would start at Redfin or on market is you might uncover or you might see signals of, okay, because you said an entire county. If we go searching for the whole county, we know that's a recipe for overwhelm. So what we also might be looking for in that other count or in that MLS work is, are there particular cities in that county that there seems more of that activity happening? The other way you could do that. So in fact, I'm answering, you can see I'm answering on my feet, because Campbell, this was not a question I was expecting, but this is helpful, I think, nonetheless. What I would probably do first, not the MLS. So MLS is first, definitely. What I would do next is whatever the more populated cities are in that county.
Type in Lawrenceville.
Okay, so we would take one of those, and I would check the holy smokes. So right away, there is obviously a ton of activity in Lawrenceville. Now, some may say, well, geez, doesn't that mean it's a really red ocean? And yes, maybe on one hand it does, but also it means that there's opportunity to be had there as well. So like it's a good indicator that I'm on to something here.
So we're checking Flipper first.
But I would check 5 or 10 cities first, just to see, and you might even turn this into a spreadsheet. Okay, I've got this county, and I checked these cities, and this was the flipper activity in these cities.
Not a lot of submarkets in Gwinnett, to be honest.
Okay. When you say submarkets, you mean not a lot of...
Meaning cities. You really, the only other city you're going to have that's going to fall anywhere in there would be Duluth. And that's going to be the southern part of it.
Is that D-U?
D-U-L-U-T-H.
Okay, so then...
There are a lot of cities in Gwinnett. I'm in Gwinnett.
There are or aren't?
What other cities am I missing, Geneva?
There are. So you've got Snellville, you've got Lilburn, you already said Duluth, right? You've got Decula. There's a part of Loganville there. So there are a lot of cities here.
So
I thought those fell into the county for Stone Mountain.
No. Stone Mountain is DeKalb County. And there is also a part of Stone Mountain that's in Gwinnett.
Okay.
So this is wonderful. If nothing else, for whatever reason, we've got Janita and we've got Hank who are in those areas. So maybe we'll get some activity going between the three of you guys. But from everything that Janita shared and Campbell shared, and this may be tedious, but I would probably, with this amount of numbers that are showing up, I would probably go zip code by zip code and look for the outsized
zip codes.
What's that?
I think Lawrenceville has 3 zip codes.
Right. And Duluth, it looks like, has 2. So I would be looking for any signals. And specifically because the next step, we're going to go to the seller targets. And though I don't want to get bogged down in analysis by analysis, whatever. Having some good information can save us some time and energy and mean that we get more we get more from our efforts, right? So there is something to be said for doing that work, tedious as it may be. And maybe, Campbell, you start with those 2 cities, knowing that there's 5 zip codes between the 2 of them, and that's at least the place that you'll start. And I don't know if you had in your conversation, did she mention any, like she mentioned a county, but did she mention any specific cities? And also, if possible, it'd be great to see what her, what some of her previous activity looked like, because she likely has other things about her buy box that she doesn't even think about. In other words, you will notice some trends in their other projects that maybe she didn't even mention or is maybe even not aware of. Like ways that she does due diligence that it's just not even something that she's consciously thinking about, but that is important to her.
I'll do more research on that. Now, what other targets would you choose in Lead Deck to augment for the off-market properties?
Yeah. So I'm assuming what she's doing is single family renovations.
Correct.
And I'd go advanced filters. And this is where it would be important to know a little bit more about her buy box. So I don't like, you could say 3 bedrooms, but so many times, especially with flippers, they're able to look at a project and take a home that may be 2 bedrooms and make it a 3 bedroom and therefore drastically improve the value. So I wouldn't worry too much about the bedroom counts. I'd more worry about max value and max square footage. And if she, if you notice from her previous activity, she tends to buy 1960s or 70s X type of homes, then you might play with the min and max year built. Okay.
That's all straightforward.
Yeah. The one side note I want to make to everyone is if you're in a less densely populated area, because this is a pretty densely populated area, at least compared to where I live in, please keep in mind the general rule of the more conversations we have, the more opportunities we will uncover. So if it doesn't, like if the population density in your market doesn't make sense to do some of these extra filtering, the prevailing thought is if you just have more conversations with people, more opportunities will present themselves. And whether or not they make sense for this particular person, so be it. Now, Campbell wants to be strategic because though he wants to pursue this opportunity, it is not necessary. It's not his backyard, right? So there is more relevance and importance to getting more laser focused, taking the sniper approach. But like, I guess what I'm saying is when I'm looking in my backyard, I don't care. It's just conversations. So like, I'm not going to think a whole lot about it because I just know if I have conversations with people that have problems or need help, that that will lead to something in some form or fashion. So without knowing any of that, let's just take a quick look at this one zip code in Duluth. Right off the bat, I see 17 vacant and 4 inherited. Like, I would just pluck those off. I would just, you could do those in a morning. I would save these at Target. I would run them and I would do those. Those would also likely be ones where you're going to do the enhanced skip tracing because there is
the vacant and the inherited would be the first ones you would run.
That's where I'd start with. Absolutely. Because it's just an easy place to sort of get the wheels churning and there's inherent, there's inherent potential motivation. And you'll also likely see when you run those and you look at the cards, you're going to see most likely a relatively high seller signal, generally speaking. Next, I would look at, let's see here. So we don't have involuntary liens. That tells me that there's something with how that courthouse reports data, but it is what it is. I would go, just looking at this, the next place I would go is I would go out-of-state absentee and tax default. So I would stack out-of-state absentee and tax default. And that would be interesting. Only seven. Well, I would still go there. So now we've got 17 vacant. We got 4 inherited. We've got 7 more with that stack. The next one I would go is the tired landlord. I got to get with Sean here. He fixed one thing about this, but not another one. Is if I don't save this, like when I'm doing this for illustration purposes, it's annoying. I have to do this again I have to start from scratch again. Which, by the way, if you're waiting to hear from Sean, just a heads up, he's been sick all weekend. He had to go to urgent care this morning. He thinks he got food poisoning or something like that. So hopefully he's back.
No fun.
Yeah, back at it 100% sooner than later. But the next one I would go is tax default and tired landlord. And 21. Next up is where, so that's starting real small, which is one of our core principles here. Start small and work your way out. The way the concentric circle that I would work out from there after those is I would go any out-of-state absentee, and then I would go any tired landlord. So inherited, it's a bucket of 4. It'll take you minutes to work through that. Vacant, bucket of 17. Tax default, out-of-state absentee, I think it was 7, something like that. Then I'd go tax default, tired landlord, and then I'd go out-of-state absentee, and then tired landlord last. And then the in-state absentees stacked with tax default, that's just a big data set if you just try and work your way through all in-state absentees. And I would say I would be shocked if you haven't uncovered significant. And actually, the type of renovations that they're doing, before I go there, I might actually go senior tax default. I might combo senior and tax default because those.
You would do senior tax default before the in-state, you're saying?
Yes.
After further thought.
Yes. And all of these numbers are going to be smaller once we get clarity around some of these advanced filters that are important for her buy box. So even if you're only able to clarify one or two additional bits of information that would be helpful here, it's definitely going to take the data set
Josh,
and
she'll
narrow
give
it
me
down.
everything because of our friendship. She's supposed to hear today or tomorrow that they're hiring her. Her understanding is there's millions that they're looking to throw into the market. It's a group of them that have pulled together and want her to do all the legwork. She's going to get a percentage of what she does for them.
Okay, so
she's done so much with it on her own. They're wanting to use her knowledge and pay her for it.
that is obviously exciting, and rightfully so. What I would, I guess I'll say caution you about, but it's not really caution. I would just make sure that when you're doing this work, that it's not just that as an exit strategy. In other words, the work that you're doing, keeping in the back of your mind that if that doesn't pan out and if she's not what it seems, etc., just know that there are other ways that you can turn that into opportunity, whether or not it's referring it to someone else or you go and find the other flipper or cash buyers that are going to be relevant there. I'm not even speaking to you per se. I'm just,
I'm getting your drift. She's not the only person I can flip them to. I can get the other flippers in the market and flip it to them.
Correct, because what you're describing is exciting and could be wonderful and could end up being, an additional buy and list side transaction a quarter or, every 45 days even. And also it might not, because those big entities, they can change their thinking and strategy depending on what's going on in markets, et cetera. So interest rates come up, they may say we're on a freeze for 90 days or whatever, right? So just having multiple ways or the confidence to know that you have multiple strategies for turning those conversations into.
And to clarify, Josh, this is not commercial money. This is folks she goes to church with who are cash flush, who are looking to put their money with her to do this.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're going to choose somebody else because she's the one they trust.
Gotcha. That's helpful. I was more making
what I'm doing on my side of town, because I want to keep tapping into my market that I can drive to quickly. It's just this fell in my lap, so that's why I'm asking you for strategy on this, because I don't want to waste any time that I don't have to.
Yep. And so this also goes back to something that was a topic regularly last week, which is when you start doing the work and you're having conversations, different problems arise. So when you don't have enough conversations and you don't have enough in your pipeline, that is a problem. And also, when you fix that problem, there's always another, it's like playing a video game, right? There's always a bigger and better boss at the end of the level that you got to beat. And so the point with that is then learning to triage and be as strategic as possible for you in your business, looking at your business, removing yourself from the business and looking at it from a 10,000 foot view and identifying what is the best, most profitable next best step for the business. And appropriately allocating time to those things. In other words, not taking too many home run swings and making sure that you're also working in the easy, singles, doubles, and triples. Or put another way is not putting all of your eggs in one basket. Yeah.
I'm going to have to bounce. I got to get to an appointment. I wanted to get on this call today for sure. Thank you. And I will report back once this moves forward.
And I'll take this, our particular discussion, and we'll run it through, we've been using Notebook LM for that stuff and do a little summary. Not that it sounds like you were taking notes, but, to kind of crystallize some of that if there was anything that maybe was.
I will take whatever you can provide, buddy. Appreciate your help.
Right on. Good luck. Okay. I want to highlight this because I have it on the list and because it's relevant. And I didn't even share hold on. Bouncing all over the place, and the Wi-Fi is spotty. I don't know what to do about my Wi-Fi. It's driving me crazy. I have 3 different Wi-Fi in here, and it's still, I'm trying to get it so that these are smooth and not problematic. And it's like, no matter what I try, maybe I should listen to my own advice. What I focus on expands. I need to find the one that's working. Jeez Louise. So one-page plan, right? 9 daily habits, daily time blocks, daily scorecard. I'm sharing this to remind myself and to point out, even though it was my birthday weekend, like early mornings, I was still doing the work of sending out at least 3 to 5 emails to people that are looking at my MLS search alerts, or they're looking at Bold Trail, etc. It takes literally a few minutes, but when you're planting those seeds every day, and to be clear, that is farming activity, not fisherman activity, but it still is worthwhile, because when we get a client in this business, they pay really well. Like, our paydays are not so bad, right? So doing that work each and every day, it compounds over time. It compounds over time. And for those who haven't seen this before, or you want to take a deeper dive into this, I'll drop this into the chat, and please just make a copy of it. Okay, just make a copy of it to before you go editing it. So Mike says this is some good topics. So Mike says you need to know how many deals a year she can do. I mean, she probably doesn't even know that answer yet, right? She doesn't know what her capacity is yet, because she's just looking into expansion. And what I was trying to get with communicating, like, not all your eggs in one basket, is it doesn't even matter, because Campbell now has another card in his hand. And the more cards we have in our hand, the more we can go and play Go Fish to try and find other cards. And it doesn't matter if it matches up to that card. If it's not a deal for her, but it is a deal for someone, Campbell can then go back, use the tool, find the cash buyers. So, I'll connect the dots here. He finds one of the inherited properties. It just so happens that they're ready to sell. Well, if this gal, it doesn't make sense for their little investment group, there are 42 other cash buyers in that one zip code. So then he can pivot to reaching out to them and seeing, A, are they looking for any deals? B, if not, who do they know that might be? And C, do you have anything in your portfolio that you wish you didn't have? So it's just one thing leads to the other. And I just really like the Go Fish frame and perspective on it. I just think it's just like so simple, and it is Lawrence. It's so simple, and yet, I mean, I just find that the more cards I have in my hand, the more matches. I don't even have to. Sometimes, it's not even like they just happen. I'm not even working to find a match, and all of a sudden somebody calls me or some opportunity comes my way, and I think, wow, that would be a perfect match for so-and-so, Okay. Deal of the week email. So last week, this was what my deal of the week email looked like. Typically, what I send is one property, one deal, text only, 4 to 5 bullet points, no pictures, no links, the call to action, who do you know that might be interested? I mixed it up last week. Last week, I sent 5 off-market deals. 5 different off-market deals. I'm a fan of replicating before you innovate. In other words, I know I've done my single property deal of the week long enough to know about what my average response is. And also, it follows the pattern that I've mentioned a number of times recently of other activities. So if you follow the strategy we have for posting bait into Facebook groups. If you make 10 of those posts, 2 or 3 will get an outsized return. 4 or 5, you'll get a little bit of activity, and 2 to 3, it'll be crickets. You'll get nothing. Same with these deal of the week. So I've done it enough that I'm trying different stuff. I'm innovating a little bit. So I sent these 5 deals. And they were different types of deals, different areas, different types of properties, etc. And my database is very diverse because I've tried lots of stuff over the last few years, and I've got lots of different people in there. I got people in there that have requested a list of new construction homes in Mechanicsburg. I got people in there that have requested a list of price reduced home anywhere in Central PA. Okay, so it's a very diverse database. So in retrospect, it stands to reason that me sending a diverse list of properties, it would make sense that I got an outsized amount of response because I'm hitting more potential points or possibilities. So I got still not like, I didn't get overwhelmed with replies, but I got way more than I normally get. And this is an example of one that I got. And this is people actually reading the emails. Hallelujah. Because the call to action was, who do you know that might be interested? Just hit reply and let me know which number, and I'll get you all of the details. So I had a bunch of people that just replied, number 1, number 3, 4, and 5, number 3, whatever. And I, for each one of them, because I had the time and because I know I have an overwhelming amount of proof that I know that sending personal Loom videos turn into more good opportunities for me than not. That's what I sent to each and every one of the replies thus far, is a personal Loom video where I would share details about the property or properties they requested with a next best step, meaning, what should we do from here? Now, what I need to do this afternoon is close the loops, because I sent that information to 8, 9, 10 people that replied. And some of them replied again, to which I sent some more information. For example, some of the properties on this list were previously expired listings. So I could send them the previous expired MLS sheet. And that was what I would say in there. So I said that was part of my call to action. If it wasn't, for example, this one has never been listed, so it's not expired. So my call to action for people that had requested information on that one was a little bit different. This one is also not an expired listing. I think this is an off-market, this is a FSBO, so off-market in that it's not in the MLS. And then these 3 in the middle were expired, older expired listings that I could send that out on. So why am I sharing this? Number 1, if you've been doing a deal of the week email consistently and you haven't been getting much response, or you just want to test something different, I now feel comfortable and confident enough that this is something you might test. You don't have to have 5. I think somewhere between 3 and 5 is ideal. If you only have 2, just do 2. But some other important factors in this. They were off market, which I know is good bait, meaning it is something that creates curiosity. Number 2, I still followed all of the other same best practices and principles. It's text only. There's no images. There's no links or anything of that nature. No one.
Josh, quick question.
Yep.
So those expired listings, did they just come from reaching out to the expireds? Are you still accepting?
That literally came from the work that I did at the gas station last Monday while my kids were working out. They were 3 that. Oh, I'm sorry. I lied. Number 2 and number 4 are that. Number 3 is a 2-unit that I will likely list. It seems like they want to list, although he calls me every week and it's like 1 week he wants to and 1 week he doesn't. But this is an investor that bought a 2-unit from a client of mine off market in the fall, and we ended up, I ended up with a pretty decent relationship with him, and he has other investment properties. He called me about this 2-unit, and I said, give me a couple of weeks to see what we can find off market for it. The interest hasn't been all that great because I would say that they want full retail value for it, which means most likely the best buyer for this is going to be someone who's going to buy it and live in one of the units, the price they want. But I don't care. It is bait that I can use to have more conversations. So I'm going to use it in whatever way. The other 2 came from just me messaging old expireds with the exact script I used is, "Hey, Stuart, it's Josh. Just curious, are you still accepting offers on your property at street address?" That's it. And unfortunately, I gave Janita a different variation of that script that did not work as well for her, and then realized, oh crap. So it was good. It was a good reminder on a couple of different levels. But I got a significant amount of response to that simple script, which I texted and emailed. I would have called. It's just, I was at a gas station at the time. And the call script would have been exactly the same. "Hey, Stuart, this is Josh with eXp Realty. I know this call is a little bit out of the blue, but I'm just curious if you're still accepting offers on your property at street address."
Okay. So you're not doing I saw you try to sell it last year.
I removed that out of it for 2 reasons. Janita tried it and it didn't work. And it was a good reminder for me that it doesn't matter what I think, it matters what the consumers think. And so I didn't even intentionally do that different. I literally was just sitting there, and it had already been a long day. It was cold, so my brain was probably frozen. And I was just like, this is the simplest communication. And I got response. And then Janita the next day said, I reached out to 6 of them, or however many it was, and I got 0 replies. And I said, what did you send? And, well, your exact one. And I said, well, that was what I thought would be better. But in reality, what worked better, at least for me in that one data set, is just the simplest, most direct communication possible. And, we could try to theorize why that would be. If I had to guess, that little gut punch, which is what it is to them, just created resistance. In theory, I thought, well, I'm empathizing with them because I'm communicating something that is fact, which is they did try to sell it and it didn't, but they don't want to hear that. If I'm trying to put myself in their shoes, in their brain. So why not just go with the simplest, most direct communication?
Yeah, that's good. Because I'm building a Word doc of various scripts. So I can, copy and paste it into the profile scripts without having to, what did we say last time, and retype. So
which, by the way, that would work with for sale by owners. I usually ask for sale by owners, hey, Stuart, this is, or, sometimes we don't have their name. I mean, you could look it up, but it's not, to me, it's not worth the effort. You don't get that much more reply by looking up the for sale by owner's first name, at least in my experience. I would say, hi, this is Josh with eXp Realty. Just curious, is your property at street address still available? Well, I could just say, hey, this is Josh with eXp Realty. Are you still accepting offers for your property at street address? And it'll accomplish the same end goal. And also CJ, who, for those of you that were on early, CJ, I was on the phone with him when I first went live in here in the Zoom room anyway. He has used that script even if they weren't ever publicly saying they were accepting offers, and it's worked for him too. They're kind of confused, and then and then there's a conversation to be had. So I'm not suggesting to do that on purpose, but we have evidence that it works even if they weren't openly accepting offers. On whether it was listed or for sale by owner or otherwise. What else did I have on here? Absentee owners with lead deck. Well, here's what I'm going to do. Go ahead.
Josh, just real quick, follow up from that off market call that I did for that Redondo property.
Yep.
That I found out they had 4 properties. His mother is 80 years old.
Yep.
I found the son.
Wait, you found,
And
refresh my memory, that
so,
story.
Basically, I was looking for my my contractors.
Right.
I've seen this tired landlord thing. The dad had deceased. I didn't know that. I called the daughter. The daughter gave me more information about what was going on. The mom was 80 years old, blah, blah, blah. She said that the brother was beating up with the mom to discuss selling the property and getting paperwork ready.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, long story short, I needed to find the brother because the sister wouldn't give me the information.
So you found the brother. Okay. So that's a short story that is packed with good takeaways. Number one, we are paid to be problem solvers, and the better you are at problem solving, the more highly paid you become. Number one. Number two, Lawrence committed to figuring it out. And again, when you're better at figuring out, that's that relates to problem solving, and that turns into paydays. Have you talked with him?
Yeah, so I talked to him. I called the number and I asked for David, and he acted as if this is not David.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I apologize. I wish I could have recorded this thing." He said, I said, "I apologize. I was looking for David, blah, blah, blah." He's like, well, what is this regarding? I think I know him. I said, "No, this is his sister, Tony, reached out to me, blah, blah, blah." He said, "Well, what is it regarding?" So I kept asking, asking me these questions. And eventually he started just giving me information about the mom being in good health. She's not looking to sell right now, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, "Well, if she was looking to sell, what would you offer her?" I said, "Well, I'm actually looking for a client of mine right now. What is she looking for as far as the offer?" Then I started just calling him David, and he started responding. I was like, "This is David." He wouldn't give me the name at first, but at the end of the conversation, he started saying David. And I said, "Hey, is it okay if I send you my information just in case, down the line she does decide to sell?" Tony said she owns about 4 properties. He's like, "Yeah, sure. Reach out to me." So
I'm just going to say, whether or not anything happens with this, bravo to you on so many fronts. Okay. So number one, the amount of effort that you're going on behalf of your client, bravo. The fact that you are committed to and followed through on doing the work, figuring it out, problem solving, etc. Number three, not giving up even in that conversation, because I guarantee he acted that way because he is getting all kinds of calls.
Exactly.
He's getting all kinds of calls, and Lowe was the one that, even if it wasn't on purpose, you just stayed on the phone long enough to crack the egg there, or crack the shell and get on the inside a little bit. And I definitely think there's something to the fact that you are reaching out on behalf of a client, because I guarantee he's getting a lot of calls from wholesalers or people that are looking to, I'll say, take advantage of the situation, but whatever. They're looking for a deal, and that frame of, I'm just trying to help my client, that middleman frame. There are so many great examples and uses for the middleman frame. In fact, that was something I brought up, I mentioned earlier on when I did the Zoom call with one of our Founders Club members that has a VA, an assistant who's helping with that. We talked about the middleman frame. You're reaching out on behalf of so-and-so, right? Which makes it edifies them, and it removes you from being the person. Like, you're less likely to get attacked, even if you're cold calling, if you're calling on behalf of someone, right? Because they're like,
instead of just going for yourself.
Right. It's just, it's just a different frame. Now, David was trying to play the middleman frame, or just, whatever, playing dumb, saying it wasn't him. But so how did you, just one last tactical question, and then the hands that are up. How did you find his contact info?
Findpeoplesearch.com. I matched up with what was in Lead Deck. So I looked for the right numbers that was going to match it, because we had a couple in there. on the lead deck on there. So I was trying to match it using findpeoplesearch.com.
Yeah.
To make sure, because I was, like I said, I couldn't remember what.
I'm guessing you mean Fast People Search or True People Search. I think those are two free ones. Or is it Find People
I think
Search?
it's findpeoplesearch.com.
Okay.
I think it is. I don't know. Yeah, Find People.
Oh, I never heard of that
No,
one.
True
Find,
People Search. Sorry.
True People Search. Okay.
TruePeopleSearch.com.
Yeah, True People Search.
You can type in Find People and it True People will pop up.
So you can directly
On
skip
there.
trace in laid deck, and you can do it hand skip trace, but you can't do it by a person, right? So sometimes you have to just get creative, like Lawrence did. The other big takeaway from what Lawrence did is he went deep. Instead of just, he had already invested time. He knew that there was or had some sense that there was some opportunity there, so he just kept drilling deeper, and he did at least to some degree. Hit the gold or hit the oil, potentially. We'll see.
I put it in the chat, in the screenshot of his message. He liked it. I said, thank you for, taking my call today, blah, blah, blah. So he liked it. So now what I have is a follow-up in about probably 3 weeks on my CRM, my boat trail.
Yep.
Just to see how things are going.
Yep. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Anyways.
Love it. Thanks for sharing, Lo. Appreciate you. Doreen, did you give up or maybe?
No, Lawrence was on a roll. I didn't want to interrupt.
Yeah.
Because it's just it's a time saver that I've been doing for finding my bait property, because that's where I get hung up because I want to overanalyze everything. So in my MLS, I created an automated search that's sent to myself with the bait criteria for subdivided by each location that I'm looking in, and I get it every morning. So it's been helping me out. So I just thought I'd make a contribution. That's all.
That's great. I appreciate that. I will encourage everyone to just jump in. What do I mean? You all are here because you're professionals. You can have conversations. You're educated about real estate, and you can figure out and close the loops as you're having the conversation. Meaning, I talk with lots of sellers, buyers, etc., and I connect the dots while we're having the conversation. I'm not saying you want to sound silly and completely unprepared, but you can win in either situation, especially if you just are curious, ask open-ended questions, and you can. I oftentimes will call cash offer request sellers, and literally while I'm on the call, I pull up the information. I might have the address, but that's it. Because sometimes if we have too much information, we convince ourselves in advance not to make the call or not to do it. And I just have so much evidence of people that I might not have called if I had all the info. And yet, the conversation, something from that conversation turned into something else to something else to something else. So, but the time savers are important, and setting up, I have myself on a number of automated search alerts as well. So there's definitely something to that. And so, yeah, good share. Thank you, Doreen. Janita.
Yes, Josh. So last week I got in contact with, at least, or had some strong communications with 2 FSBOs on last week. One of which I matched with a buyer of mine, and they called me back on Friday and they're interested. So I'm going out tomorrow to take some pictures of that property. So I thought that was some really good progress. Yeah. Now, the other FSBO that I spoke with, right, this lady, she indicated that yes, she was interested, the house was still available, and yes, she would pay the finder's fee. But then she also indicated that she had an appraisal done on the property, right, which matched her list price.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
Now, I went back to her and asked her what was the date of the appraisal, and she went dark on me. She ghosted me. So what approach would you take? Do you think I should continue to try and engage her?
Did you pull the institutional buyer offers?
No, I have not pulled that.
I would at least pull that and see, is it anywhere close to her asking price? Okay. That would be my next step. I would also say, the general consumer uses the word appraisal for lots of different things. And so that may or may not be relevant. That might have been a CMA she got from a realtor. It might have been a email she got, like the emails that I sent. You never know what that actually means. So the filter or the lens I would look through is your own market knowledge. In other words, from what you can see and what you know, is this price crazy? Or is it just maybe a little bit off? I also keep in mind with most for sale by owners, they have the mentality of, we're going to price it high to leave ourselves room to negotiate. So even though they may be asking X, their bottom line, not always, but generally speaking, a lot of them, their bottom line is well below what they're actually asking. Case in point, last week, actually 2 weeks ago, I reached out to her for sale by owner. It was a fixer-upper in my market. I didn't do a good enough job of doing this at first. Meaning I reached out, he replied, I had conversation, I asked if he would pay a finder's fee, blah, blah, blah. All of that was good. What I didn't ask, which I've now added to my tool belt, particularly on properties that clearly need work. Like, I wouldn't have asked this if it was a 500,000 turnkey property. But because I knew it needed work, and because I have enough cards in my hand that I don't really want to waste my time, I asked, what's the best you could do on it if I brought you a cash as is offer? And he dropped it 50,000 or 40,000 with one question. Okay. So, not always applicable, but sometimes relevant. I'll also share another. There was a for sale by owner that popped up last week that I have not reached out to because they're asking 350 and the comps in their neighborhood. It's a townhome community where they're all the same house. The comps in their neighborhood are 275. Like, I'm not even, no thanks. Like, next. If I didn't know that, what I would the first thing I would have done is pulled up the address in Fast Cash Offers, the institutional buyers. I would look at that and say, do I have anything even remotely close to this? And if so, okay, we'll go. But they were asking 350, and I think the best institutional buyer offer. I did that work just because I was curious anyway, and the best institutional buyer offer was like 267. So it's like, I'm not even. This is a waste of my time. Is that helpful? Any follow-up questions?
It does. It is helpful. Yeah. So I'll definitely check. I actually signed up for the Fast Cash Offer, so I need to put that property in and check that out and see.
Yeah, and for anybody curious, you can get free, like not a free trial, free access to just the offers part of that, where you can go and pull up a property address. Literally, all you need is the property address. You pop it in. So why don't I do this? Let me go find it for sale by owner, and I'll pull up. Let's turn this into actual activity. Let me pull up the for sale by owners in Cumberland County. Let me see if there's any that I haven't, any new ones that I haven't messaged yet. I messaged them. Well, I'm just going to use this as an example. So 1227 Bridge Street. So all I need is an address. And while that's searching, I'm going to go back here. And I'm going to use the script that I just said. 215 680 8008. Oh, I already messaged this guy. He never replied. Well, Hey, this is Josh with eXp Realty, period. Just curious, are you still accepting offers for the property at 1227 Bridge Street, question mark? Boom, we'll see. What I could have also done is because I already texted him, I could have done the hold and hit the question, or I could have sent the Kevin Hart meme. Now, I wanted to use that other script, so I forced it. By now, we've got the offers. Okay, it's actually not that far off. Look at this. Holy smokes. So the quick buy one-time close. Now, there are a lot of fees with that one, but the quick buy one-time close is 245, and he's asking 246. So I probably should actually commit to doing one of my principles, which is going deep and making sure, like actually tracking this guy down and getting a yes or a no. Have you sold it? What is going on with this? But this is, you can get free access to these offers. The marketing suite, the lead capture tool and script is additional, but you can at least get access to these for free. Just DM me or text me, or here, I'll grab. I think it's in this day. I'll copy and paste this into the chat. Yep, there it is. Go ahead, Stuart. Man, I got to.
FYI, Friday afternoon, I had a
I did not hear any of that. Friday afternoon, what happened, Stuart? Sorry, my internet completely.
Well, I instead I had a phone conversation with Danielle at Zoom Casa to kind of understand the program a little bit better. Because actually one of my sellers that's not selling was pretty close. So it was one of those dual close kind of things. Ask some questions. So
yeah,
it was helpful.
Yep. All right. I've done nothing nothing on my one-page sheet really. So I'm at least going to do a little bit of outbound activity to wrap it up. And then I do want to share, actually, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share a story that I meant to share in my opening rant that relates to that. And then I'm going to do some outreach and then finally wrap it up. So this is from $100 million leads. Okay. And this relates to the two ideas from the beginning. What you focus on expands, and volume negates luck. So the story here is about the many-sided die. And I'm just going to read this. Imagine you and a friend or a real estate colleague play a dice rolling game. You're each given one die, and one of the die has 20 sides. The other die has 200. On each die, only one side is green and the rest are red. The point of the game is simple. Roll green as many times as you can. The rules of the game are as follows. You can't see how many sides you have. You can only see if you rolled red or green. If you roll green, one of your red sides turns green and you get to roll again. If you roll red, nothing happens and you get to roll again. The game ends when you stop rolling, and if you stop rolling, you lose. What do? You roll. When you roll red, you pick up the die and you roll again. When others roll green, you pick up your die and roll again. When you roll green, you pick up your die and you roll again. You keep telling yourself one thing: the more I roll, the more greens I get. At first, you roll green once in a while, but as more red sides turn green, the green happens more. With enough rolls, hitting green becomes the rule rather than the exception. In other words, with enough work, you start hitting green more often than red. What does your friend do? or your colleague. He or she rolls a few times and hits red each time. He or she sees you roll a green and complains that you must have a die with fewer sides. He or she reasons it's the only way you could have rolled green before them. And although you did, you also rolled many more times. So which is it? In either case, he rolls a few more times in frustration and hits a green. But then he complains about how long it took. He spent more time watching you and complaining than actually playing. Meanwhile, you've hit your green streak. It's so much easier for you, he or she tells themselves. You get greens every time. This game is rigged. So what's the point? He quits. So who got the die with 20 sides? Who got the die with 200? If you get the game, then you see. Once you roll enough times, the die you're given doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you got the one with the 20 or the 200. The die with fewer sides might roll green sooner. The die with more sides might roll green later. But a die with a green side always has a chance of rolling green if you roll it. Every die hits its green streak when rolled enough times. All of us get a many-sided die. And looking at the other players, you have no idea if it's their 100th or their 100,000th roll. You don't know how good other players are when they start. You can only see how well they do now. But if you understand the game, you also know it doesn't matter. A few begin playing early, others begin much later. The rest sit on the sidelines complaining about how lucky the other players are. I guess so, but they're luckier because they play. And when they hit red, which they do, I do on these live streams, they don't quit. They roll again. Learning to advertise or market is like that. I have done the work enough. At this point, I hit green more frequently than most people. But that's like discounting the fact that I've done the work to get to the point. I know I've done enough work that I know what to look for. So I get luckier. And also, I still have days where it's crap, where I roll red all day. Who cares? I know that if I do it again tomorrow, I'll probably roll a bunch of greens. I could use some deals in my backyard. So I'm going Enola. And, I'm curious about this because I tried to find multifamily expired listings in Enola, and it was like nothing. Okay, this makes sense. So what I'm going to do is multifamily, by nature, they're all absentee owned. Well, I guess not. I guess someone could own it and be living in one of the units. But generally speaking, I mean, if it's out of state and a multifamily, it's obviously. So look at all these. I've got these small data sets here, which I love. So I'm gonna select vacant, get the final count, and I've got 3, and I'm gonna save it and run it. And while that's doing that, I got to check my script for outbound seller because I don't know if I've tweaked this. Yeah, see, I even have my stupid, unproven, expired script in here. Get it out of here. All right. Just curious. Is there any chance you'd consider selling your property at, where are the, they're up here, at street address to a private client of mine this winter or spring. Okay. I'm going to leave this text. So my text is, hey, first name, this is Josh with eXp Realty. Is there any chance you consider selling your multifamily property at street address to a private client of ours this winter? He's looking to buy 2 or 3 before the end of the quarter. So I'm going to leave that. I'm only going to use the initial text and email. So I've got those. I'm going to save it. And now I should have these in my deck. Let me hit refresh. And I got to also log in. from my phone. I got logged out, so let me log in here. I have my. Okay, so I'm gonna stop my screen share here. We're gonna go deal deck. Oh, you know what? Later in the week, I meant to do this morning, but tomorrow I'm gonna hook it up so that my screen share is my phone, so you can literally see what's going on my phone, and then you'll also see me. Okay, look at this one. So is state absentee, free and clear, high equity, vacant, but for whatever reason, the seller signal is medium. But I don't care because I just want to have conversations, and they might have something else they want to sell, or they might be looking to buy. So I've got a mobile number that's not on the DNC. Who am I calling? Hold on. Where's the name? Oh, there it is. Jerry, hi, this is Josh with eXp Realty. I know this call is a little bit out of the blue, but I was calling to see if there is any chance you would consider selling or would consider an offer on your property at 1405 High Street. I have a private client who's looking to buy a couple of properties before the end of the quarter. And so we're just reaching out to folks like yourself. If you could let me know either way, I'll shoot you a text as well, and have a great week. Tap to text, bada bing. Tap to, I don't think there was an email with this. So here's my thought process on the enhancing. I will enhance if, like, I would have enhanced, if I didn't get a mobile number that was not on the DNC, I would enhance it. Because if I got no mobile number, or the only numbers that I got were on the DNC and no email, I want some way. Because I want an answer, yes or no. But I'm pretty sure I've got the right person here. It was a blue text, so I'm sending iPhone to iPhone. I left a voicemail. I'm not going to worry too much more about that one. So I'm going to tap to go to the next one. This seller signal is medium, but it's 86, a lot higher. And the mobile number is on the DNC. Or, okay, actually, there's one mobile number on the DNC, but there's another mobile number that's not. So this time, I'm going to text first. Then I'm going to call. Carol. Hi, I'm trying to reach Jeffrey. No, Jeffrey, I'm sorry. This is Josh. Do you know Jeffrey? Oh, goodness. What is his last name? Do you know Jeffrey Walters? This is Josh with eXp Realty. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I was just trying to reach him about a property. We have a client who might be interested. If there's any chance he'd consider selling, if you wouldn't mind, pass my number along. Okay. Would he be, is he looking to add to his portfolio? Well, I was calling because I have a client that is interested in one that he owns in Enola, 1109 Biddle. But we have some off-market properties in Enola as well. We've got a fixer-upper. We've got well, I appreciate you answering the phone. Yep. Okay. Well, I appreciate you answering, and I hope you have a great week. Shoot your shot. All right. Do I have a good? I've got a lot of emails for him. Trying to figure out which might be the best one, because I'm not going. That was his dad. If you missed that, that was his dad, Jeffrey's dad. This might be his. I'm going to tap. I mean, it costs nothing, so why not? B. Walters. That is probably not the right one. Yeah, well, I'm going to go to the next one. There are more fish in the sea. There are more fish in the deck that I can grab still. So, ooh, look at this. I don't remember seeing this before. I don't know if Sean just added this, but it shows the delinquent taxes now. Look at that. Huh. Edward. I know this guy. How do I know this guy? Yeah, I know this guy. So all of his numbers are on the DNC. I definitely know this guy. I think he's in my KB core, Bold Trail, whatever. But I've got a good number or email for him. Like, it's definitely his email. How do I know, you're wondering? It's his first initial last name at Gmail. Like, I'm 97% sure. And all of his phone numbers, except for one landline, is on the DNC, and it's down on the list. And I know if it's down on the list and it's a landline, I don't bother, because most likely if I call, it'll immediately hang up. It's probably an old, dead VoIP line of some kind, and it's very unlikely to be active. But since I brought it up, I'm gonna see if I still have him. If I'm right that I know this guy, that I recognize the contact. Let's see if I can find him in my Bold Trail. I've got a lot of Scrignolis, which is weird. I don't have an Ed. Maybe I'm just recognizing the name. Anyway, next. So there were only 3 cards, properties, in that deck. So now I need to find a different deck. Okay. So what I'm going to do, that was, what was that? That was vacant. So I'm going to put in the same zip code and same zip code. It was multi. And I'm going to, oh, I forgot that I asked Sean to be able to do this. So, okay. So I did the vacant. There were 3. Now there's inherited. Now I'm going to do inherited. So I can save and then search new. I forgot about this. So I'm going to save and do new. Then I'm going to do out of state, get final count, save and new. That way I don't have to keep like going back. And then what was the other one that I wanted to do here? Vacant, inherited, out of state, and I want to do the tax default, but I've already gotten some of the tax default. So even though it said that there was like, I forget how many it says. It says there are 10. I won't actually get 10 because I already got one that was tax default. Am I missing any here? Oh, I'll try involuntary lien. There were 2. Okay. So save. So now I've got a bunch more decks. And I'm going to start with inherited. There are at most 2 on this list. So small list, small bucket. But 2 of them popped up. So I'm going to deal deck here. 2. Okay. Okay. Seller signal is medium. I have messaged this person before. Huh. Okay. So she must have been on another deck that I reached out to last week because I texted her. She must have shown up as an active buyer. But she never replied to that. So I don't care. I'm going to send her this text message too. And why not give her a call?
has been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying to reach is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up.
Hey, Amber, this is Josh with eXp Realty. I shot you a text as well. I was reaching out about property you have on, I think it's a 509 Brick Church Road. I'm just curious if there's any chance you would consider selling that. I've got a client who would likely be interested, and they're looking to buy 2 or 3 before the end of the quarter. If you could let me know either way. I did shoot you a text as well. Thanks. I'm going to work through 1 or 2 more here, and then I do see at least some of you working along as we go, which is good. But then I've got to get something to eat. I'm getting hungry. All right. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do one more deck here. This is multifamily. And this is my zip code, which is a little town. This is multifamily, out of state, absentee. 1 Chester Road. Okay, the mobile number's on the DNC, but I do have a local number that isn't. So I'm going to text this one, but I'm not going to call it because it's way down on the list and it's unlikely the right person. But I have evidence that people will share with the right person, meaning they'll forward it, they'll pass the message along in some form or fashion. I do have 3 Gmails. So it is very likely that one of these is the right one. So I'm going to send to all 3. And in a matter of seconds, all 3 of those are whoosh. Let's go to the next one in the deck. Let's see here.
Just real quick, because I am working alongside you and getting some responses back. So you said when you hold down, are you pressing and holding the previous message that you sent on your phone? Or are you just sending back question mark, question mark, question mark?
Oh. So if I've messaged and they never responded, let me find where it is. Is it Jerry? No. It wasn't Jeffrey. It was Amber. Okay. So I will hold it down and then I can question mark my message. So it just adds that little thing. But what it does, more importantly, is it unless they have the notifications turned off, they get a notification, so-and-so, this number just questioned their text. It's just a notification, right? Gotcha. And so I have found that those 2 strategies, when I really want an answer, yes or no, I don't care, I just want to know, that or the Kevin Hart meme are ideal. I think the Kevin Hart meme is more applicable if you've had a conversation and then it died, right? They were responsive and then for whatever reason they stopped. I found that, generally speaking, is a better application of that.
Gotcha. Got you. Okay. Thank you.
You bet. So the mailing address of this property is a California address, and it's 804 there. So I'm going to reach out to them, but later. I'm going to let it at least be 9 o'clock on the West Coast because you never know. I did call a guy on one of these live sessions, not realizing until I hit send or hit it, that the time I was calling him was like 6:18 a.m. But he called me back, and I was actually it was with Hank. Hank, I called a guy when you and I did the session the one time together, and ready, fire, aim was what I was doing, and thankfully he was cool about it. Now this one has a Montana address for the mailing address, which I think is Mountain, but the number is like a Eastern Pennsylvania number. So I'm going to text and I'm going to call.
Hi, if If you record your name and reason for calling, I'll see if this person is available.
This is Josh with eXp Realty. I was calling about 228 South Enola Drive. It was one of those automated, state your name and why you're calling, and we'll try to reach so-and-so. But it was a blue text. So it was iPhone to iPhone. Oops. I think I accidentally hung up. Well, I sent a blue text. That'll be good for me. I think he does also get the message like that. He would have heard my name and why I was calling. These emails are very low success chance, meaning like they're email addresses that are very unlikely, but who cares? All right, I'm actually going to stop there because it illustrates my story here. That was red. I rolled red for the last 20 minutes. Who cares? If I keep rolling, I'm going to hit green, and then one green turns into another green and another green and another green. Okay? And for the Terrell asked, and I kind of pointed at it, but I didn't actually state it. It's $100 million leads. The author is Alex Ramosi, and the story is at the back of the book. Page 268 and 269. I have a lengthy list of follow-ups and follow-throughs that I have to do, that I get to do. How about that? That I get to do. And I will be back tomorrow. Some housekeeping items. We'll get the replay of this, as sketchy and jacked up as it is with my Wi-Fi, on Lead Deck. I'll be back tomorrow, same time. We have our Lead Deck Lab for our Founders Club tomorrow afternoon. And I've got a free workshop on Thursday at noon Eastern, which will be geared towards getting listings from absentee owners, which is going to be the theme this week and this month, generally speaking. And the link to register for that is in the description wherever you may be watching this live. And if you can't find it, just DM me. Free to attend, no cost or obligation. Let's all make it a wonderful week, and see you back here tomorrow.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you all.
All right.
Recording.